All right, here goes nothing. Welcome to Waiting Aloud. And today, we're going to be talking about something that's, really, really, really personal to me. I recently had a chat with a guy whose wife is currently in a coma. And I myself have been in a coma for over a month, 36 days. I was in a coma after the accident that paralyzed me and caused serious brain trauma. I ripped off this ear. You could see all of the scarring where the glass came literally so close it bisected my eyelashes. Right there, there's a little spot there where there no eyelashes grow. That's how close it came to putting my eye out. And as I said, I was in a coma for 36 days. And while I was in the coma, I didn't know I was in a coma. Everything was still going on. You know, some bad things and some good things. And almost all of them I can still remember like they were yesterday. These things were as real to me as, I am here talking to you right now. For instance, like in the coma, a minute seems like a day, an hour seems like a week. In the dream world, in that deep REM sleep where you are. And so, while you're in a coma, you don't really know that you're in a coma. You're constantly, like changing worlds or areas or dreams, but you don't understand the transition. It's almost like you go to sleep and then you wake up in the dream and you're just in another place and you don't even question it because it's so real that it's like you took a flight from Florida to San Antonio or something. The settings changing around you is like irrelevant to you in that world. And I had both good and bad things happen to me in the dream, in the coma dreams. They had me on like a combination of like propofol and something else, but it was right around the same week actually that Michael Jackson died, and he had got a bad batch of propofol. And I live in Florida, which is very close to the islands where Michael Jackson was. And I seriously, honestly, truly believe that I got the same bad propofol because I had these really, really bad fevers for like the first week. And when I was having those fevers, I was having like wicked bad experiences, like in the dream world. Like I had been kidnapped and they were torturing me. They had me with my broke back bent over a washing machine that had like a bunch of heavy shit in it, like shoes and rocks. And they just had it on spin cycle, just fucking me up. And like I remember being tortured for a long time. They put me on this rack. But what was going on in the real world is the nurses were trying to get me used to wearing the chest plate for a broken back, the chest, support and back support. And they were sitting me upright in a chair. But the bad thing is they were leaving me there for hours and hours on end. We're talking like 4 or 5 hours. I'm sitting there pouring sweat and pain in a comatose dream state, dreaming that I'm being tortured because what they were doing to me was basically torture. Everything that happened to my body physically was transferred into the dream. For instance, at one point, the nurse untied my hands. And while I was in the dream, I was in the process of fighting Carnage, if you can believe it or not, the Spider-Man villain, or something like that, And I was, very scared. I was walking through this warehouse, and it was so real. And then I seen something moving, you know, and I was like a detective or an investigator of some kind. And, you know, Carnage came and attacked me and like just stabbed me right in my chest. And I'm fighting him, you know, I'm fighting him with like everything I've got. And, you know, I grabbed the blade stabbing in me and I'm pulling it out. In the real world, I'm fighting a nurse and I'm ripping my chest tube from my lung. So, yeah, it was real what was going on, but in the dream world, it was so much worse than what was going on in reality. You know, it was so scary and so real that, you know, you can't even imagine how real it felt. I mean, I still tell people to this day, you know, hey, I'm 35, but really I'm 45. Because that month in a coma was like 10 years of experience. Hell, I went surfing around Florida for over 2 years in those dreams. I was addicted to heroin in the dream and was going through withdrawals, like when I would like leave one town or whatever, and then I'd run out before I got to the next city or whatever. And, you know, I can remember being like on the beach in my VW van, like, you know, withdrawing, like really bad withdrawing. But what that again, was the bad drugs that they were giving me, causing me to have these really bad hot sweats, and I'm just sweating, you know, from the drugs. You know, I'm really making this video in case there's anybody out there with loved ones that are in comas, to kind of, you know, not scare you, to kind of really more let you know that they don't know that they're not in the real world. Everything that's happening to them, you know, or in my case, you know, felt real, felt 100% real. Like, excuse me for a second. It's very hard for me to talk about this. You know, obviously I'm, you know, still a double amputee, still paralyzed in a wheelchair. You know, it's been 10 years, and these dreams, you know, I hate even referring to them as dreams, because they're so much more than dreams to me. They were real experiences. These were things where I could breathe the ocean air and smell it, just like I can smell the smoke in my room right now. These were so real. I remember feeling the sand between my toe. Now, who's to tell me that wasn't real? Because my mind has 100% interpreted it as, you know, a real life experience. So when I say, you know, I feel like I'm 45, not 35, just due to the 10 years of experiences that I had, you know, while in this coma. You know, people look at me like I'm crazy or think that I'm crazy, but it's the only way that I can describe it and give it the real gravitas that it had for me. You know, like I said, I'm really just doing this video because I just had a long conversation with a guy whose wife is in a coma, and he said that it helped him out a lot hearing what I had to say about the subject, and how, you know, good things and bad things happened to me in the dream, just like in the real world. Some of them were a little bit outlandish. You know, I've never went on a surfing trip around the world. You know, obviously that might be something that I wanted to do, and it was incorporated into the dream. I was also kidnapped and tortured in the dream. That was me implementing my injuries, you know, into the coma dreams. And those were bad. Those were scary. And at one point, even my family like played a prank on me, and it was like, surprise, it was all a joke, like in the dream. And I'm just like, why would you even do that? Why would you do that? You know, it was like lots and lots on your brain, lots of being pulled in different directions, and you know, not really knowing what's going on. but having these perfectly conscious, you know, dreams, you know, that seem like you're completely 100% awake, and while you're in them, you don't know that you're in them. You think this is real. Somebody kidnapped me. Somebody is torturing me. Somebody shot me here. Some carnage creature stabbed me. There was some point where we were in like this Tron-like world, and we had these. It was like we were going through military training. They gave us these suits, and they told us, trust the suit. If you doubt the suit, you'll die. They proceeded to take us up to the top of what seemed like some kind of, you know, dystopian future city, and the instructor slapped me in the back and knocked me off the building. And I remember falling with the falling sensation, like I was really falling, and I'm like, trust the suit, trust the suit, trust the suit. And then like I hit this like crosswalk or something, and the suit like shielded me, you know, like, I don't know, like shielded me. But then I like gained confidence, and then I was able to, you know, like control the suit, you know, and like land in a controlled manner, you know, kind of like Hulk landed, you know, but I landed on my feet, you know, and like crushed the concrete and everything around me. But that shit was as real gets. And the vertigo I felt, the falling sensation that I felt, like if I had to describe what skydiving feels like, I guarantee you I can describe it, even though I've never been, because that's what I was doing in that dream. I skydived without a parachute, and you know, some of a lot of the stuff followed the rules that, you know, our bodies are used to, the rules of gravity, the rules of the real world. But then there might have been like technology or something like that in the dream that, you know, bent those rules, or made them, you know, where like you wouldn't die if you fell off a 100-foot building. It was really a lot like Tron or the Matrix, you know, really more like Tron, really, you know, because you were there, you were in it, you know, there was no like plugging in, you know, that's what was really happening. But it was really more like Tron, like you were actually physically in the world, and there was no other world, to your knowledge, while you were there. You know, again, for anybody who has family members in a coma, or have been in a coma yourself, and wonder if these things happen to you, if it was normal, I assure you they are. And if this can help anybody, you know, my description of what I went through and what happened to me while I was in a coma, if it can help any family members of people that are in comas, or parents of children that are in comas, that's really the reason that I decided to make this. This isn't my normal type of video, and this subject is really near and dear to my heart. Obviously, it's something that I went through, and like I said, if it can help anybody, that's the goal here. It's if somebody comes out of one, you have to realize that everything that they seen and heard, they believe was real until they woke up. And even then, they may still believe that it's real. It took me many months to kind of put the pieces together and figure out what was real and what wasn't. I'm like, didn't we have a family reunion at this huge oak tree down by a lake one time? And my parents were like, fuck no. I'm like, well, I guess that was part of the coma dreams too. I don't know. And what it was people were coming to visit me, and then their voices were being put into that crowd during that family reunion. So I later was able to put together all the pieces of what was going on. You know, while I was being tortured, they had me in this chair upright with the chest guard on, and that made sense. And then the nurse was untying my hands, and I fought her and ripped out my chest tube, thinking she was Carnage. And that I pieced that together, and There's probably a lot of other stuff that I haven't pieced together yet, but you're there, but you're not there. You can hear and feel what's going on in your body, but that is all being transferred into the dream world that they're perceiving in the coma. And it's very strong. It's very, very, very strong. It's really undiscernible from reality. I mean, hell, I could be in a coma right now dreaming this. That's how real it was. I am not exaggerating in the very slightest. It also makes me think about, you know, alternate universes and other levels that we may not be able to perceive. That is a very big thought on my mind since coming out of the coma is, you know, was it all in my head, or was I on another plane, you know, in another world, actually doing these things? You know, that I cannot answer. I do not know. But it was as real to me as sitting here talking to you, explaining it to this camera. It was undiscernible from real life, from real everything. I felt pain, I felt emotion, I felt love, I felt, you know, DTs going through withdrawal, you know, like any human feeling, emotion, touch, whatever, I can remember it in that world. And that's the main thing that makes me wonder if it was a dream, if it wasn't another plane or another reality. I don't know. That's food for thought, though. And if you found this video and, you know, you want to know more, hit me up in the comments and I'll do my best to explain in more detail what, you know, I feel happens to people when they leave this world due to comas or, you know, I don't know about death. I didn't die, but I mean, I guess I was pretty close. But just my opinion on the whole subject. It's just, it's an interesting thing to me, and, you know, I don't mind elaborating and talking on it with people that need or want to know. So, this is Weeding Aloud signing off for now. I know this wasn't a normal video by any means. I still haven't been able to get this thing to quit leaking. I don't know what's up with the Puff Labs pipe that I got a couple videos ago. I don't know. I might just start smoking it without the water. Just use it like a regular empty bowl. I don't know. Anyway, guys. As I said, this one was a little bit more close to the heart, a little less about weed and a little bit more about me. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more about or hear more about, you know, what happened to me and what goes on in comas, let me know in the comments. Just Weeding Aloud. Peace. Out for now, but not for long. Don't forget, spay and neuter your cats and always get a designated driver. You don't want to end up in a wheelchair like me.